From the cities that are the stuff of legends all the way to some of the most intriguing and ecologically unique places on Earth. Here are the top 10 famous lost worlds on Earth. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have Helike. According to Greek legend, Helike was a place that was destroyed by Poseidon, the god of the sea, storms, earthquakes, and horses. He was upset because those who resided in Helike were refusing to give their statue of Poseidon or even a copy of it to the Ionian colonists in Asia Minor, which is now modern Turkey. Our modern archaeology, along with ancient sources, have been able to deduce that an earthquake in 373 BC caused the ground beneath the entire city to completely liquefy. From here, a tsunami then hit and totally engulfed the city, and it is said that this all happened in the span of an hour or so, which left no survivors at all. In the 1980s and the 1990s, under the direction of archaeologist Dora Katsonopoulou and physicist Steven Suter, a more accurate location for where Helike may have been came to light, and in 2001 the ancient city was located. Every summer, excavations continued to be carried out, and every year we learn more about this area and the secrets it holds that come all of the way from prehistoric times. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Sima Humboldt. Sima Humboldt is a huge sinkhole that is located in Venezuela. Sinkholes certainly are very interesting, but not necessarily never before seen, so you might be wondering what's going on with this one that makes it necessary to put on this list. Well, firstly, it's huge. Its volume is around 18 million meters cubed. The second reason is because of its location. This sinkhole is located on a tepu, which is like a tabletop mountain, and the sinkhole is located on the only forested tepu. And finally, because of the size of it, the Sima Humboldt features its own ecosystem located at the bottom where many new plants and animal species have been discovered. Apparently, locals of the area believe this sinkhole is actually a place of evil, so while it looks very cool and actually quite beautiful, maybe something more sinister is lurking around. In our number 8 spot today, we have Corral. An American history professor named Paul Kosuk was absolutely fascinated by ancient settlements, like I'm sure a lot of us are, but this passion led to him devoting much of his time to studying in Peru, which has such an incredibly rich history. In 1948, while in Peru, Paul made the discovery he had been waiting for when he came across the dry remains of an ancient city. The remains were carbon dated and placed to be about 5,000 years old. The city of Corral was once the home to around 3,000 inhabitants pre-Inca, and this was already a thriving location while the pyramids were being built. That is how old this settlement is. It appeared to be quite a peaceful place as there was no obvious signs of battles or weapons, but among the remains were homes, plazas, temples, and an amphitheater. It is said that the city was abandoned in 2000 BC, and in 2009 AD, it was made a World Heritage Site. In our number 7 spot today, we have Lake Vostok. Many of us have heard of Atlantis, but have you heard of Lake Vostok? Okay, there's probably no underwater city here, so maybe that was a bit of an exaggeration, but it is still very cool. This lake is located in Antarctica, and it is so huge, it's one of the largest lakes in the entire world. The lake not only has like a large surface area, but it's also really deep, which only adds to the volume of the lake. So here's the thing about it though, it is covered by ice, and not just any ice, but the East Antarctic ice sheet, which is just the largest ice sheet in the world. The subglacial lake has ice so thick that we don't know a lot about what lies beneath it, and the ice has been there for millions of years. When the first samples of the actual lake water were taken, it became very apparent that there may be species in the lake that we know absolutely nothing about. In our number 6 spot today, we have Mohenjo-Daro. This is a location whose name is roughly translated to Mound of the Dead Men. This is one of the world's oldest urban settlements, as it was found and built somewhere around 2600 to 2500 BC in what is now Pakistan, but it was abandoned in the 19th century BC as the civilization that called this place home declined. For almost 4,000 years, this site was seemingly forgotten about, and the remains of it were undocumented until an officer of the Archaeological Survey of India, a flint scraper, which convinced him of the site's history. From here, excavations of the site began, and as of the 1980s, it was named a World Heritage Site. In our number 5 spot today, we have Mount Roraima. This mountain features something that at the beginning we talked about a little bit on this list, and that is how the top of this mountain is flat like a tabletop. This mountain sits on the border of Venezuela, Guyana, and Brazil, and the other tabletop mountains that are found in this park, along with this one, are said to be some of the oldest geological formations on Earth, dating back to around 2 billion years ago. This mountain is the highest in the area and has rain almost every day. The top is mostly sandstone with just a few bushes and algae, but many of the species found here are very much unique to the area. In our number 4 spot today we have Heraklion, also known as Thonis to the Egyptians. This was an ancient city that was located near the mouth of the Nile River. Greek legend says that this was the city where Hercules took his first steps into Africa, as well as the place where Paris hid Helen before the Trojan War began. This is all to say that, to legend, the city was super important, but aside from the legend, no one knew where this place was or how to find it. Well, just over 2,000 years ago, it turns out that either an earthquake or a tsunami or a combination of the two hit the city and submerged it underwater. It used to be believed that Thonis and Heraklion were two separate places and that both were located on what is now Egyptian mainland, but neither of those things turned out to be true. In reality, in 1999, after 5 years of searching, archaeologist Frank Gaudio located the ruins of the city underwater as they had been submerged in the ocean. Since then, excavations and explorations of this ancient city have taken place, and it was stocked full of some incredibly cool treasures from thousands of years ago. In 2010, a type of ancient Nile riverboat was found here, and even just recently, in August of 2021, it was announced that wicker baskets that contained fruits of the duum palm tree, as well as grape seeds that date back to the early 4th century BC, had been found among the ruins. In our number 3 spot today we have Taxila. This location was established in 600 BC and was abandoned somewhere around 500 AD, and it remained unidentified until 1863 when Alexander Cunningham, the founder and the first Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India, realized that the directions to get to Taxila were being misinterpreted. The site was first excavated by John Marshall, who worked there for 20 years. This area has become famous because it holds the remains of several settlements, the earliest of which dates back to around 1000 BC. This location was designated as a World Heritage Site in 1980 for a multitude of reasons, but perhaps most importantly because the ruins of the 4 settlements throughout history reveal the pattern of urban evolution through more than 5 centuries, and the value of that kind of insight cannot be overstated. There are even accounts which claim that the University of Ancient Taxila was one of the earliest universities in the world, which is just unbelievable. In our number 2 spot today we have the Melville Range. This mountain range is found on Cape Melville, which is a part of northeastern Australia's Cape York Peninsula, and although this range isn't as huge as many of the others we have on Earth, it is the home to an isolated rainforest that wasn't really known about until extremely recently. The forest is only accessible by helicopter, and since its first true exploration by scientists in 2013, there has been at least 3 new species of animals already discovered. There have also been endemic plant life found in the range as well. The rocky environment most certainly is a unique feature of this rainforest and is definitely a key feature of why some of the endemic species that live there are the way that they are. It is very cool to be able to see just how this landscape and environment shaped these animals that we're just now getting to know more about. In our number 1 spot today we have Pompeii, one of the most famous lost cities ever. The Roman city of Pompeii was destroyed in 79 AD when the eruption of Mount Vesuvius exploded and volcanic ash was strewn about the city. Fast forward all the way to 1748 when the Duke of Naples had a summer palace built just 24 kilometers south of Naples on Italy's west coast. Through the construction, as those working on the palace began to dig, they started to come across buildings and streets, and from here, once news spread, people began to flock to the area, and it was realized that what had been uncovered was the lost city of Pompeii. Throughout the Victorian times, people would come to see as more of this town was uncovered, and they found an amphitheater, a forum, houses, and shops. Everything you'd expect a town to have, this one was just ancient and buried. Now the ancient city of Pompeii is one of the most visited tourist attractions in the entire world, and excavations still continue on, with secrets always being revealed. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!